Morning, guys. Morning. Welcome in. Morning, Eddie, Rebo, Waldev. How you doing? Let's get this schedule out here. There we go. All right, good morning, guys. What's going on, Bear? How you doing? Not much. Finally getting a nice push on MSTR, huh? Got good news on that overnight. And it retraced most of it. Never mind. Hit 172. I was pretty happy to see that. All right, trade evade. Let's get logged into this. What's going on, Kareem? How you doing? And here we're gonna go down to 20 again. That was a picture perfect IB from yesterday. For anyone that held it for the entire duration, that was beautiful. What's going on, Bob? How you doing? Yeah, for edgeful Eddie, I am. What's going on, Jay Holt? Marshall, how you doing? Stanley, what's going on? All right, 4 Qs. We'll jump right into the analysis for today. I think it's a pretty good chance we get a gap fill up. I gotta make sure we don't have any data today as well. I think we do have data at 10, if I remember correctly from yesterday. 9:45 again, we have PMI. Oh, no, it's Wednesday. Yeah, we have 10 o'clock data, 3 10 o'clock data points. So we can trade that open. Hopefully, we're going to have 2 days in a row the IB working like a charm. Did you manage to hold that the whole way, Bob? Because that was beautiful. Let me fix this camera a little bit. What's going on, Tony? Yes, luckily. That one we did get a little, I wouldn't say lucky with, but we traded it damn near perfectly, waiting for that IB to come back down to the 50 instead of entering. Almost made the same mistake as I did on Friday, but managed to wait. And then SPY got, they were about the same. They were like 75% on both. I did end up adding one on MNQ. So I added at 620.54, and then I added another one at like 619.50. And the stop loss was just at the IB low. And it was awesome. It was an exercise in patience not to enter before retracement to 50. Yeah. Yes, it was. And max drawdown we had on that, I think I had 2 MES. I think I was down $70 at the peak. Might have been 70 or 80 at the peak, and then I was down like 40 on the peak on M&Q. And then it came all the way back up. That was a 110-point pivot from my better entry, and then 90 points from that midpoint, which was really nice. What we'll be looking at for today, so our previous day's 50, we'll get that drawn in. Previous day's low is right at 4 a.m., the wick low at 4 a.m., and then the high was made at 6 o'clock last night. Pretty nice trend day. And then our London 50 for today within that range. Does anyone know what that means? What first data point are we going to be looking at for today? Not like we need to look at it every day, but we have a 74% chance, 73.5 of breaking previous day's range. So I'm probably going to be targeting previous day's high into open. The reason being, we also have a pretty high chance of filling this gap up. That is a 0.14. We obviously have another 22 minutes to go, so it can change from there. But we have a 71% chance of filling this gap to the upside on Qs. And then SPY slightly gapped up, so those two are kind of countering each other. SPY is also over previous day's high. So what we will have for an issue there as well is which one of these assets is going to drag the other one. So these aren't both lining up for inside bars like they did yesterday's open. So SPY won't have as much of a draw to the upside. Tech has been lagging all week. So we'll unfortunately have to bear with that on Qs if it has continued downside, if it ends up getting dragged up with SPY. This is not a previous day in London gap because it's not gapped over one and the other. What we will be looking at is 624.22. I think we should get that pretty quick into open. And if you notice, I also removed another level from my chart back here on 623.21 on December 29th because we managed to fill that previous day in London gap. That was this gap right here, 623.20. We filled that at the end of the day yesterday. And then once we got over that, we kind of pittered out for price action. So that level is no longer on the chart because it's no longer going to be a draw. Next one's going to be 629.09. That is the gap from way back here, November 3rd. We did fill it on these 3 days, these 2 days, but it's a resistance level. So it's a pretty good level to leave on the chart. What's going on, Ike? How you doing? Good morning, Kurt. Mike, how you doing? Abe, what's going on? What's going on, Semper? Yeah, it is, Karim. What's going on, Chris? All right, so we already took a look at all the stats in the open. I'm looking for a move up to, I just don't like that these two are still countering each other, which they have been all week. It's kind of a pain. SPY is gapped up right now. Qs is gapped down. I want to see Qs head up to 624.19. So ideally, what we get right into open, I'm not going to trade it because barely ever trade that opening move. Look for a move down, wick through London 50, and then target up to previous day's high. That's what I'm going to be looking for in that opening candle. So something like that. It's a $2 move up, so it should be in line with the opening candle that we had yesterday. I think that one was 206. The one that we had on Monday was only $1. So it should at least take it with a wick. YouTube's delayed by a second. Second day here. Watched all your YouTube videos yesterday. Thank you. I didn't take QQQ yesterday. I just chart on Qs instead of MNQ. As always. I had a quick long last night. Ended up exiting it pretty early, and then kind of sad that I didn't switch short for the overnight dip back into that IB. A good retracement down. Ended at 335 on the day yesterday. Across all the accounts, which was really nice. I've never used it during Asia session. I don't think there's a IB for Asia. I've at least never tried it. There might be one that I'm not aware of, but I don't think there's a IB that you can trade for Asia. If you wanted to, it would be the 8 a.m. candle to the 9 o'clock candle. So I didn't think I took that trade that late last night. So it would be the 8 a.m. range to the 9 a.m. range, 9 p.m. range, sorry. And then the break, but there's not really, I mean, you're going to be trading like a 20-point break. I haven't tried using the IB during Asia session. It's more of a mess to get into. Well, we're waiting. We got 15 minutes into open. Not really anything exciting going on right now. Bear, while you're in here, if you're still hearing me, are you going to do that hunting lease? I guess not. He's not in here. Thought he was going to unmute for me. I'll DM him. Is that the IB strategy? It is, yes. Yes, it is. This prediction to open's not the IB, sorry. The one I have right now is based on the inside bar and the gap filled by size. That's what I'm going to be taking a look at. So I want this to recover at least to that high, 624.22. I'd like to see a little wick through London 50. So if you guys were eager to take something to open, that's what I'd be expecting. Small downside to it is that for SPY, it's already over previous day. Well, I guess it's not over previous day's high quite yet. It's pretty damn close. So this one won't have as much of support underneath it. Q's has London 50 right there, which this is, again, a really tight London range, a pre-market range. And then SPY should be getting a dip down to 691.14 and then back up. Check edgeful with 2.5 hour IB Asia session, 4 p.m. PST, 6:30 p.m. stats with NQ and GC. It's interesting. You lost me there. Recently learned about the IBM 2 for 2 this week on MNQ. Appreciate the teachings. No problem. Absolutely. What's going on, Roland, Sean, Stanley, Terrence? How you doing? Waldive, how you doing today? More than 1 hour IB. Oh, I gotcha. So use the range that we had from. Okay, I see it. And then you'd have all the way down to this low. Yeah, it looks like it was a little mean last night. So it made the low at 9:30, and then it barely wicked out of it. Then it retraced to 50% and continued down. This could have just been on slippage too. That's why I don't chart on MNQ. That was a little tiny break, and then it retraced that to 50% and then made the move that you would have looked for. I don't really care to be trading that late at night anyway. All right, hopefully we do. The reason I want the wick down is just to make sure that we validate London 50. I have noticed that most days, even if it's pre-market, most days we've gone to London 50 after forming it. We barely missed it this morning. We went to 622.38, which is just over London 50. Yesterday we hit it at about 8:45, 9 o'clock. We actually hit it twice and then went up. So I'd like to see a little pullback and then springboard off of that. SPY draw will be 692.33. Oh, you're in San Diego, so you can trade that, no problem. Yeah, I'll look into it. I'll look into it tonight. Do you take the trades on QQQ or just chart it on there, Tyson? What's going on, Zig FX? Walk, how you doing? Trader Zoe, Stanley, Sean, I said hi. Sam, Pilgrim, how you doing? Rocky, Repo, Matthew Malale. Did you get any covered calls open yesterday, Matthew? What'd you get? The June expiration? We made a little bit on the first 2 weeks. I haven't made anything for 2 months now, though. Yeah, I was just giving you shit. Nope. What's going on? TSLA calls. It's not too shabby. Good morning, MFTC, Mark or Market. How you doing? Sal, how you doing? Is QQQ NQ? It is, yes. QQQ is NQ, SPY is ES. I was looking at the NVDX ones yesterday, NVDX cash secured puts, but that one, if you go and look at the IV on it, and I think it's because NVIDIA has done absolutely nothing for 4 weeks now. The IV, we have to sell at the money contracts to get anything. This is 187 is what NVIDIA has been at for the past 2 trading weeks with no movement outside of that range. I just don't have the capital on the 10K for the NVDL right now. With my luck, NVIDIA would stop selling semiconductors in general and go all the way down to freaking 80. Came across the IB time frame with another edgeful user, then edgeful by levels work excellent after the break. So to get the front run and then follow out profits, but yes, it's late. There you go. Probably be up a good bit into open too. Just the decay overnight because we didn't make a move on Tesla. Are you talking about the NVDA ones? Those will still have a good day to count them. Yeah. Correct, Karim. What are your thoughts on SPY and QQQ confluence today? This is what I'm expecting right here. Semperfi and everyone else. A little wick down, a London 50, then up. Gap fill, we have a 71% chance of filling this gap up. I do like the idea of doing the HIMS contracts that you did. I just don't like how far out they are. Because I get spooked. It's a good recovery so far, and we do need quite a bit more up. But I just get spooked it's going to do something like it did last. Well, obviously, that was with tariffs, or the tariff news that we had last year. But over the course of 2 weeks, it went from 30 all the way up to 51. Yeah. Went from on April 29th, it was trading at, for open, it was at 28.90. And then May 6th, so 7 days after 2 trading weeks, it was at 49.41 for a close, 49.92 for a close. And then it actually ended up going all the way up to 66 in another week. That was the tariff news. That was the April lows that we had last year. So there was a catalyst with it. Did you take the IB breakout long yesterday on that dip? I did. I ended up getting 335. So I entered with 2 MES during stream, and then after we got off stream, QQQ kept dipping. So I ended up entering one on MNQ right here, 673. I had 2 MNQ actually. I thought I entered one. I entered 2, and then I sold one at 25.7. Sold another one at 25.737. Yesterday was perfect. It was a beautiful trade. For anyone that held that trade after we got off the stream, that is a perfect representation of how the IB is meant to work. How's the real estate development going for you, Matthew? There you go. Nice. You're okay. You too. It was really nice and patient too. Not only trade good ones. Thank you. Thank you. So you were holding MES and M&Q at the same time. Is that okay? And yeah, as long as I wasn't hedging them, I was long on both. The rule on Apex is that you can't hedge like assets. So if I were to go long on MNQ, I can't go short on MES. If I were to go long on MGC, I can't go short on silver. If I were to go long on crude, I can't go short on gold as well, since those are all hedged asset, or those are all like assets. They're like commodities. But I was long on both of them. So the big rule is that you can't have an active trade open that is consuming more than 30% of your max allocation. That's the MAE rule. So I have 1,500 in drawdown. I can't have a trade open that goes negative 400 because that will exceed 30% of my max drawdown, my max allocation. And then the other big ones, I just can't go in short. I think that's the main rule. You can't go in short like assets. So MNQ, I can't go in long that and then go and hedge that with a short on MES. I don't really think that's that big of a rule. I did see quite a few posts on Twitter yesterday about someone getting banned because they were hedged on MNQ and MES. They were saying that they were due X amount of payout, and they were all disappointed by it. But I think that's a pretty common rule for most firms. Almost every firm has that hedging policy. The way that I used to hedge I would hedge a little bit, but it wouldn't be like me going long and short on MNQ and MES. I would hedge by going long on MNQ, and then I'd go long on gold as well, or vice versa. Because gold, and it's not always, which is why it's not a perfect hedge, but if MNQ is pushing up, most of the time gold pushes down and vice versa because they're hedge assets. Commodity versus tech. It's not a perfect hedge, but it does sometimes mitigate what your losses can be. You can hedge on Lucid. I haven't really ever hedged like that, though. All right, so we are looking for a pullback to London 50 right now, if possible. We do have 3 sets of data points at 10. We have ISM, which is going to be a big one. Job openings, which is also going to be a big one because that's our delayed report from November. And then we have factory orders. That will be another delayed report. That one being from October, that won't really matter. And that's it for data today. So I asked this yesterday. We're waiting right now. We're not going to be getting into a trade. No trades in the first 15 minutes. I don't know if Steve's in here. Usually answers it for me. So is anyone... I don't think we had any answers from this yesterday. Anyone actually think that we're going to get another Stranger Things episode tonight? Or do we not, as trading and Stranger Things not go hand in hand? I think we'll get another one. Doesn't seem like we have many people that watch the show in here. They didn't deny it. They did not. Don't watch it, sadly. Yeah, that's okay. I forgive you, Bob. All right, we're getting a nice push right now. It never got back to London 50, sadly. SPY also broke previous day's high, and SPY and Qs are yet again doing the exact opposite into open. Qs will probably get dragged down. SPY is usually the one that is accurate, or the one that doesn't lie as much. No pullback. We don't really have a trend to partake on right now, so I'm not. I guess a pullback wasn't due. We just got the gap fill, so that gap report was fulfilled. Gap fill was fulfilled. We had a 71% chance that price would go up and fill that gap. 0.12% was the gap down. That's filled. SPY and Qs are still going the opposite direction. Only thing that we have to take out now, we're less than $1 away. We're 70 cents away. We should go up to 624.21, which is where the arrow's pointing. London lows are in confluence with previous day's 50. Not quite. We'd have to get a pretty nasty wick down through that. No problem, Bob. Don't watch my shows. I've been following Fallout TV. Not bad. I watched a little bit of that show, not very much. I don't think I played anything after. I played Fallout 2 and then just never ended up playing the other ones. It's like everyone wants to tune into the stream at like 10 o'clock when we take the IB trade, 10:20. Definitely could have taken a long right there if it had hit London 50, but we never got the pullback for entry. So that would have been a shot in the dark. But confluence for us pushing up to those highs was there. SPY and Qs are pushing the same direction now, which is good. I'd like to see, I'm not going to take it on SPY. I'd like to see a move over previous day's high and then something like that. Right now, it looks like we've got our IB low in first and then the high. Obviously, it's just on the first 5-minute candle, but still significant. And then we are only going to be trading one lot, one MNQ, one MES today. Depends on the size. If we get a smaller IB like we did on Monday, or not Monday. Yeah, Monday was a smaller one. If we get a smaller IB like this, we didn't take the trade on Monday because it just broke right away. Even the one that we had Wednesday last week was the same thing too. If we get an IB like that, I might size up to 2 MNQ, 2 MES. And then same thing for the one that we had back here on Tuesday, December 30th. That one was the 4-to-1 risk reward. Depends on the size that we get. Also depends on the data that we have coming in. I think the ISM is going to come in pretty bullish. It's estimated over 50, which the rule of thumb there is it's a measure of 100%, but it's measured at 50. So if we have ISM, it's estimated to come in at 52. Anything over 50 is bullish. Anything under 50 is bearish in terms of sentiment. So if in a perfect world, we'd always ride right at like 50 to 51, be slightly bullish. 52 to 48 is usually the range that we make on ISM. So anything over 52 we should have a really nice pop. Anything under 52 will have a little retracement down. Pretty boring right now. Not much for volatility. We do have another 50 cents to go for that high. Looks like we just made a new high in the 5-minute as well. So we can go and take out that inside bar range. That's also another stat fulfilled into open. You guys can definitely trade these too. I just don't trade the opening candle. I think Steve probably did. Oh, that's the initial bounce. So anytime we have an inside bar, it's about a 75% chance. We can go to a 3-year time frame too. So it's about a 73. We're right in line with what it should be. So about 3 out of 4 times we make an inside bar. The ones that typically don't break are the ones that we have on like Friday into Monday, where this was a $14 range, I think. $12 range. Obviously, we're not going to get that much momentum going into the Monday candle. But for days like this, where we're pretty much 70% of the way there, it's worth it. At least it's giving us a range to work with once. Takes previous day's high in MQ. Yeah, if we can do exactly what we did yesterday. So I'll recap the trade that we had, all of it anyway. So we were over previous day's high, which was another confluence that was added in. Had the retest down to 50%. SPY was a little bit better. SPY was holding over previous day's high when we were in the IB. And then had the retest down. Hourly time frame, just put a wick in at previous day's high. That wick that we had right there. And then came back up. But all in all, it was just a perfect trade. So if we can do exactly what we did yesterday, we have, let's say data comes out, and we have the data just shoot us up to like 626, 625. We want to see that retrace back down to pretty much where previous day's high is right now, and then target back up. That would be ideal. And then for Wednesday, I checked this earlier this morning, but we are pretty much right in line with what the average should be for a Wednesday on the IB. Should be 78%, 73%. 6 months, 83%. That's not what it was. So we are somewhat overdue a win. There's the high taken out. So the inside bar stat is also fulfilled. Definitely could have taken that if it hit London 50, but it never did. Ooh, MSTR is back up to 166. Nice. I was worried about that one there for a little bit. HIMS is at 36 too. Thank you, Bull. Good morning, good morning. Yesterday you were right with the IB. IB was perfect. The only thing I didn't like about yesterday was that it took 2 hours. I talk about this all the time too. Every trader, every single trader, really every person, anytime you want something done, you want it done timely. A lot of people make rushed decisions. Can't speak today. So anytime you get into a trade, you want that trade to happen within the next 5 to 10 minutes. There's 2 outcomes that happen. So you either want the trade to happen within the next 5, 10, 15 minutes, or you want the trade to have 0 drawdown. Ideally, you get both. So if we enter the IB, ideally we have something happen like what happened on Friday, where we enter, avoid the first 2 losses, obviously, but we enter on Friday, and that trade after it got to like that 40% retracement, it took maybe 3 minutes for a 120 point drop. That's ideal. And then we go to yesterday. That took 2.5 hours for us to get the price target. Entry was right at, I think, 1047, 1048. And we didn't get the break until 1238. So just under 2 hours of that trade. That was on actually QQQ. On MES, we entered that trade at 10:30, like 10:35, and then that trade didn't break until 12:38. So that one was just over 2 hours. Price was still struggling to push higher, close for a loss, then it went my way. Yeah, I've done that several times too, where you just want to get out of the trade because you don't want to wait in it anymore. And it just ended up, the invalidation is the short or the high, or the low or the high, the IB. I'll show you an example of one that took the entire day not too long ago. So we ended up taking on Friday, December 26th, I took the IB shorts because it formed the high first and then the low, targeting the low. I took it right at 50%. I ended up exiting the trade for, I think it was like a 60 point drop. I exited it before it took the whole TP, but this one never ended up breaking. And this one also took like 3 hours for us to get even 60 points to the downside. And then way back here on this one broke. We had a Friday where it took, right here. So Friday, December 19th, this was the IB that we formed. High, low, or a low high. So we're targeting the high of the IB. Had a perfect retracement to 50%. I entered long on this. I rode this trade for 6 hours. I was in it all the way until close, and then I got dinged out. I think I ended up exiting at like 3:15. It was a couple cents off the TP at 12, a couple cents off again at 2 o'clock, and then I ended up just canceling it, but it broke it after hours, which still counts. But your invalidation, that's the beauty of this trade, is your invalidation on it is the bottom of the IB breaking. And then your validation or your TP is the top. And then you want your ideal entry to be right there in the middle. So the worst case, it's a 1-to-1 risk reward. There's no reason to prematurely exit it because you should be entering the trade. This is what I do every time I enter a trade is I assess the trade as a loss as is. So if I enter a long right now and wherever I put my stop loss, let's say I put my stop loss at 800, 25,800, I'm already going to the trade thinking that I'm negative 120. I count it as a winning trade, and this is why I trail the stop up as much as I do. I count it as a winning trade once we move it to break even, which I like trailing it about $100 behind. Once it's break even, it's a winning trade. I'm no longer losing on the trade. And then I like to trail a stop up with it. But anytime you enter a trade, this is what helps you from oversizing as well. You should automatically be thinking that you're going to hit your stop loss because that's the risk that you're putting forth. It's not going to go and hit your TP. You don't go into a trade and say, I'm going to make 600 on this. You go into the trade, now that it's open, you're at risk of losing X amount. So you should already be imagining that you're down 60 points, 80 points. You're perfectly fine if it goes and hits your stop loss. Ideally, you want to go and hit your TP. Move it to break even once you're comfortable with however much it's up. I like moving it in those $100 increments, 100-point increments. Not 100-point, $100 increments, sorry. So 50 points on one M&Q or 35 points on two. 25 on two, sorry. I don't use Bookmap at all. Why is my voice cracking so bad today? I need some honey, some lemon and honey tea. I don't use Bookmaps at all. This is all I use. I use London 50, previous days 50 with previous days high and low, which we could have definitely just taken a long right there. That was a perfect retest of previous days high. Didn't quite get the retest on SPY. Hit all the price targets I was looking for, though. 624.24, 625 hit. I didn't really miss much on this candle. That would have been 20 points, so it's not terrible. I'm at $40. I don't use Flow. I don't use Bookmap, Heat Map, whatever it might be. Everything that I use is on the chart right now. And the reason being, anytime I add extra confluences or extra signals, whether it's flow or fair value gaps or some kind of ICT term or something that I'm not familiar with, even if I am familiar with it, it just bogs down when I'm looking at. So it kind of like makes a whole mess in my head. And then I can't focus on what actually wins, which is the IB or London 50 or previous day's high, which I did just miss there, unfortunately. Nice trade yesterday. Thank you. Thank you. News in 9 minutes here. Not overly eager to get into a trade prior to that. ISM, I think, is going to be a big one. I think this is going to move us. If ISM doesn't do it, job openings is, because this is usually 2 million. It's at 7.6 million right now. I think our last one was like 2.8. Let's see if I can actually go down and get it. Oh, that's jobless claims. Those numbers should still be, job opening should still be a lot less than that. 7.6 million is a little high. What are major things you consider to take a trade? Well, I always take a look at what data we have. So I don't ever want to be in a trade during data. And the reason being that can flip whatever you're looking at 100%. So if I am long, and then all of a sudden we get bearish data, that will completely invalidate whatever reasoning is behind my long or short. And then for confluences, I like to use the gap fill and inside bars. Those are already both fulfilled today. That's why I have a bullish bias. The screener helps quite a bit as well, which is actually reading very bearish right now, surprisingly. This is too early into open for me to use the screener. And then just using the IB by rejection. So it's very simple. I don't use anything overly complex. Actually, I don't think Zoo's in. Oh, Zoo just got in here. What's going on? You sent me a nice message saying how easy the strategy was compared to the ones that you were using previously. I also had yesterday in stream, I had quite a few people that were saying like we had flow that was pointing to downside because we had QQQ and SPY puts coming in. We had an inverse fair value gap that formed. I got that one like 4 or 5 times. People talking about on the 3 minute or 5 minute, one of the two. We had an inversion form on the fair value gap on whatever it was, 1 minute, 3 minute. So targeting downside for that. targeting and move all the way down to below. And that's what I mean with having too much, which it backfires on you quite a bit. If you use too much, you're going to lose. You got to simplify it down to a couple of different strategies and then just use that. So if you trailed and get stopped and have it come back to 50%, do you ever get back in? Yeah, I will. I'll get back in if it comes back to 50%. Usually, this is something that helps a lot of people as well. It's a little tip. 2 little tips here. So don't add into losing trades. I used to do that, and it worked out sometimes. And when it does work out, it really improves on what your risk reward is. At the same time, though, it usually just ends up being a larger loss. Because the first trade you open, let's say we enter right at 623.86. It's a 1-to-1 risk reward. And then we have price make a sharp move down, goes all the way down to 623.18. So now our first trade we're red on. We're down half a risk or half an hour. That second trade that we get into, that's not the same trade. That is a completely different trade. That one is now 1-to-4 for the risk reward. And then let's say it continues dipping, 622.83. Now that's a 1-to-8. And then it continues dipping. Now we enter one more. It's now 1-to-10. Those are all different trades. Even though it might still be valid, if it ends up being a loss, you end up just losing more than what you should have in the first place. And then the second thing, if you guys have too much information that you're looking at, which is, I get this review a couple of times for edgeful when people go on here and they get a little overwhelmed with all the reports. You don't need to bookmark every report. You don't need to go and look at everything that's on edgeful. Just find which ones work the best for you. Same thing works for any trading strategy. Find which one works the best for you there. You do not need edgeful. It is useless as it does not give you any hedge because probabilities are pretty much stable from 65 to 75% every day. In the current market, yeah, but sometimes it's going to vary up and down. Like on SPY for a Tuesday, you wouldn't have known this without it. For a Tuesday on SPY, if it will load, come on. 4 minutes until data. Data, I think, is going to push us up. I think we might get up to 628 today. 629 would be a little bit of a stretch. I don't think we'll get quite up to that, but I do think that we'll have a pretty good expansion. 626, 627, maybe a little bit more. Anyway, for SPY, this one's starting to recover now, but this was all the way down to like 30%. So this was just saying that this was well overdue a win for a couple Tuesdays in a row on SPY's IB, which we finally got one yesterday. We actually, I think that's 3 Tuesdays in a row that ended up playing out. You guys can at least try them for a month. I wouldn't have discovered any of the IB stats without it. I still use it every day for the gapful stats. Any advice on scaling and trading prop firms full time? Scale horizontally, not vertically in each account. And wall dive, if you're in here right now, do you want to share the advice that I gave you yesterday? He might not be here, but I'll stay in anyway. Rather than target a specific amount for each day, this is something that I fell victim to when I first started trading props as well. You don't need to go onto a prop firm and say, okay, for me to get a payout, I need to hit $1,500 profit. I need to do that with a 30% consistency. I'm going to do that over 5 trading days. Let's say that's a minimum. So I'm going to aim for 300 a day. Don't do that. What you want to do is you just want to trade the same setup every day and let that determine what your P&L is. That's consistency. If you set a price target for yourself, saying that I need to hit 300 today, or I need to hit 400 today, or I need to hit 500, you're less likely to stop trading after your setup is hit. And you're more likely to continue trading because you need to hit your 300 or 400 or 500 profit target. I stream in the Discord as well. ST barbecue or BQ. STBQ. I have a private Discord as well. I stream for Edgeful for 2 hours, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Okay, 1 second to the news. I am actually going to pull up. I should be on X under Walter Bloomberg. Let's see. Or Sam, if you're in here, you can send that over my way. Okay. Walter Bloomberg doesn't have anything yet. Walter Bloomberg. Let's see if I refresh it. All right, job reports came in at 7.1. Estimate was 7.6. That should be bullish. Fewer job openings means less unemployment, which is good. They should be down the 2 millions as well. A little too high for that. PMI hits 14-month high, 54.4. Estimate 52.2. Looks like it might have been priced in from yesterday already. This is too early to front run the IB. That's why I'm not entering. We still have 30 minutes on it. So this candle could very easily, the next two candles could very easily go and take a new low. And then there's no reason to be targeting the high in that case. Yesterday should help absolutely everyone in terms of the patience that's required for trading the IB. Because I almost fell into it as well. I almost took shorts or longs, sorry. Oh, 169 on MSTR. That came all the way back up. 170 on it. Nice. I was not expecting that recovery. What was I taking a look at there? Oh, for yesterday, yeah. So this, I was antsy to get into a long because I thought it was going to do the same thing it did on Monday. Did not expect it to pull back whatsoever. Perfect execution of patience. Near perfect, I should say, because I did enter a little early. SPY is about to take a new IB low as well. Did enter a little early, but this is still a really good show of why you need patience for getting into this play, even though it looked like it was going to go take it right at the top. And this ended up being just over a 1 reward because we entered slightly below the IB. Something to add as well for us taking this long today, we need to have both SPY and Qs line up, which they are not. SPY is targeting the IB low. Qs is currently targeting the IB high. We still have 27 minutes left. Not looking for longs now. Not looking for anything. We need SPY and Qs to both line up in the same direction. I don't have any personal accounts, WP. The personal accounts I have are on selling options, which aren't doing too hot right now. Which is why I'm letting those develop and focusing a little more on futures. This is not really much to do with the option selling ones at the moment. What do I mean by scaling horizontally? Let me cover this real quick. So we need to go and either take a new IB high on SPY. We need to go up to 693, or for Qs, we need to go down and take a new IB low. But right now, this is a no trade because they're countering each other. For the initial bounce by rejection, Qs would be telling us that for a Wednesday, not a Tuesday, for a Wednesday. Just a second, Johnson. Come on. Still a really nice bounce off 50%. Qs is telling us that we have a 72% chance of going to the high since the low was formed first. SPY is telling us that we have a 69, just about 70% chance of going to the low since the high was formed first. So high is formed first on SPY, 693.09. Low is formed second, 691.64. And then it's completely opposite on Qs, meaning that we are not going to take anything on this. We need one of them to either go and take a new high or the other one to go and take a new low. And the reason being, did not play out on, I guess it did play out. Like Tuesday, December 30th, ended up working. Damn near broke the IB low. These two were countered again there, but the one that was the kicker was this Tuesday, where they were countering each other. SPY ended up dragging Qs all the way back up to the high, even though Qs should have been targeting the low. So we need to wait for both of them to line up. So going back to where we longing, nothing, unfortunately. We need, if SPY can go and take a new high, it's only $1 away, so it definitely could. Ideally, what happens here, I'll get to your question in a minute, Randy, I'm sorry. Ideally, what happens is if we get a wick up slightly above what our IBI is right now, and then Qs ends up taking a new IBI. So as long as they line up with each other, we can take it. As long as they stay countered like this, we're not taking anything. We also pull up gold, but we do not trade gold during New York session. It is a big old meanie during New York. But anyway, for scaling horizontally, you want, and I know everyone is victim to this as well because this is what gets pushed the most on social media, or it used to. Still does every now and then. You see people that trade silver. You see people that trade 10 NQ contracts, and they're up $5,000 a day per account. 10 NQ contracts for a $5,000 day is like 20 points, I think. 25 points. So it's not even a big trade, but it's massive risk just to get a nice flashy P&L. You don't want to scale that way. You want to scale over multiple accounts. And this was definitely apparent yesterday. We had 2 micro trades open. Ended up getting 335 in the day, which I wouldn't count this as a $6,000 day because we're still trying to qualify for the payout. But that's 335 over 20 accounts. Actually on 25 because I also had it on Tradeify. So just over a $7,000 day, just trading 2 micros. That's scaled horizontally over multiple accounts as opposed to scaling vertically in one account, meaning that you would size up on the trade that you're taking. So you want to do over multiple ones, not higher leverage in one. Hopefully you won't do it again, Simplify, because every couple of weeks I forget how bitchy gold is during New York session, and I take the trade, and then it ends up just hitting me, smacking me. You love the London 50. Where'd it hit? Where'd it hit the London 50? Did I miss it? Why do I not have it on my chart? Where did I hit the London 50? You gotta do me like that, Roland. Gold was a dirty biatch yesterday with the IB, so don't look at it. Oh, from way earlier this morning. Come on, Roland, show me the 180 screenshot. Hold on. 182, that's my guess. 182 times 20. Took gold off. Gold, yeah, we don't look at this. We don't look at that. These two are completely countering. This was pretty apparent at open too. You can see it pretty well with that first opening candle. SPY and Qs are completely opposite right now, sadly. That mean a choppy day when they're countering each other? Yeah, it's not something that we want to trade. This isn't even that big of an IB as well. If we bring it up on, hold on, I gotta remember how to draw. There we go. So this is our current IB. Our low is at 25,770, and our high is 25,880. So it's only a 55-point range right now that we'd be trading. But what we don't want to do is, let's say we enter a long on Qs when it hits 50%, have SPY go and target an expansion level down further and further and further, and that drags Qs, even though what should have been a winning statistic will end up losing because they're countered. I was up 250, mess up on the trade copier, so you only get 250 times 1. That would be unfortunate. It's kind of tricky. So would I always take a 25K? Oh, Roland, that was close. Still 130 times 20. That's incredible. Would you always take a 25K instead of a 50K account, even when they're comparatively close in price? The reason that I take the 25Ks is, I'll go pull it up on Lucid. Lucid's not too bad. Lucid trading. So it's not terrible on Lucid. But even though it's only $30 less, I'm not looking at the price of the account. I'm looking at what it's going to take for me to qualify for a payout. Does that make sense? So the 25K account, if we're just trading micros, does it really matter if we're targeting? Wow, these are bad right now. Qs is up quite a bit. SPY just flipped red on the day. But these candles aren't even lined up remotely close, which is not good. Anyway, the 50K account on Lucid is basically the same as the 25K because your DLL is at 1,200. Cutting your trading off for a day, even if you hit the DLL and then your next trading day you have $800 in drawdown, it's not really worth it. Same thing for the 100K account, same thing for the 150K account. The big thing here is that you need to make 1,250. I know you can't trade Lucid, but this is just for the example. 1,250 to pass the account versus 3,000. So you need to make 2.5 times on the 50K account just to pass it. And then for getting your payout, once you get to the payout on here, max payout is 1,500 versus 1,000. This is the same case for most accounts. But you need to make, on these accounts, you need to make $3,000 for your buffer. The buffer on the 25K account is $1,000. Excuse me, the buffer on the 50K is 2,000, so it's twice as much. 5 $50 days versus 5 $100 days, twice as much there. It's going to make you size up, which is going to increase your risk, even though you're trading with only $200 more for a daily loss limit or max loss limit, whatever you want to call it. So it's not, for the most part, I I tend to pick the 25K accounts because the risk reward for you getting a payout, you only need to trade 1 to 2 M&Q and you can get that payout in 5 days, 6 days. 50K account, you still need to take, let's say you take 1 to 2 M&Q. Nothing changes about your trading strategy, but it's going to take you 10 days instead of the 5. Or you can size up to 2 to 4 M&Q, but then that's going to affect your psychology a little bit because now you're looking at a completely different size lot as opposed to the 25K. So it's not a huge difference, but that's just why I picked the lower accounts, especially on Apex where it's 20 accounts. I have 1,500 in drawdown, which it feels really nice as opposed to the 1,000 that I was doing on the Lucid accounts. I think I am going to get some Lucid Flex here soon because they have the no consistency. So either Lucid Flex or the Tradeify Flex because I want to get daily payouts. I'd like to get daily payouts. Are you waiting for shorting the tops? I'm not shorting or longing anything right now. These two, I'm going to overlap them actually, so it makes it more apparent. But you do not want to take a trade. This is what SPY and Qs are overlapped as right now. So they did the same thing pre-market, but look at the New York price. These are completely diverged at the moment. Only difference between the Lucid Pro and Lucid Flex is that the Lucid Flex has no consistency. So that promotes kind of going for big old days and then not really following it up with a consistent win. So SPY and Qs are in the complete opposite direction right now. Not really looking to trade either of them. We either need, and it has 15 minutes to do this, we either need SPY to wick all the way back up to 693, or we need Qs to come all the way down to 622. I don't understand one thing in the Lucid 25K. To make 1,000 payout, I need to reach 2,000 and leave 1,000 as a buffer. Yeah, that's just so you don't blow the account once you take the payout. It's still, you need to make $3,200 total in the Lucid account from eval to payout versus if you made 3,000 in a 50K account, that's just passing the eval. Then you need to make another 2,000. I think the Lucid 25Ks are by far the best one for everyone to start with, if you have the ability to anyway, because I know they, unfortunately for you, Bob, they don't accept it in your country. It's a one-time payment, and you have to make $3,000 to get your first payout, which 3,000 is still a lot. It's not like it's a small number. Versus a 50K, yeah, you could go and size up and make that amount, but at the same time, you're just as likely to size up and blow the account. So we need a $2 drop on Qs, $1.40 now, or we need SPY to have a $2 pump. And MSTR is, what the heck? There's 170, and then it has a $10 drop to 160 in 15 minutes. Jeez. This would be an ideal entry if they were lined up with each other, but they're not. What we don't want to see is, well, SPY is at London 50 right now, which should actually push it up a little bit. Even if this ends up being a win today, it doesn't line up with what we're looking at for SPY, so there's no reason for us to take it. Max profits. It's based on whatever your consistency is. 300 in the next 6 months, I can feel it. We need Bitcoin to be up at 95 at least. Once we can get over 95, then we'll be good. Blow 3 accounts copy trading last week started well, as you recommended, with 4 to 5 M in queue, then overtrade and half target blown. You might be able to size down even more. Right now, the data is telling us that we should be anticipating Qs pushing up to the high, 625.16. And SPY is telling us that we should be pushing to the downside. So I'm not going to go and take a short and a long because that's hedging, and that would blow my Apex accounts. At the same time, I'm not going to go in longs one or the other because it's going to counter whatever the data is telling us. Kind of sucks, but I guess this is what we get after having yesterday's IB play out as well as it did. It's still, I mean, Qs will probably go and take that high, 625.15, and both data points hit, then everyone's happy. But not something I'm going to trade. For everyone in the stream, does it make sense why I'm not going to take this trade? Why we're not going to force the trade? Even if it plays out, we can still validate that the IB works because this perfect retracement to 50% right here, if it does end up playing to the top. Same time, I would say that's probably a little bit of luck involved. It's not a likely stat to play out because they're countering each other. Eight minutes on this, so at 10:23 is the earliest I would front run it, unless we somehow miraculously get SPY back up to 629. We're just gonna sit here and watch it. 693. What am I saying? Holy dyslexia! That was bad. I don't even think I have dyslexia, but I just said that completely backwards. Perfect representation of the strategy, though, right to the 50% mark. Just wish they lined up. That kind of sucks. It's a 55-point range from the 50%. 50, did I say 55 point? I think I did. You're looking at RTY. I haven't even thought about trading on IWM. Oh, that one lines up with SPY at least. Oh, man. It's going to sit here and watch it break. I get asked this all the time as well for the IB for expansion, IB extension, IB by levels. So for the IB by levels, I don't take this trade because it's not nearly as significant as the IB itself. The IB is a 96% chance that it happens any given day. That's why I take the IB. The IB extensions, these are just extra. So some days it hits, some days it doesn't. you can see how much it drops off after half a standard deviation hits. It's quite weird as SPX gamma and delta are positive, but price keeps dropping. Yeah, if I don't understand what's going on, definitely no reason to trade. TMF Apparel, I was just saying, I bet you were in that trade at 825. I wish, man. If they had lined up, I definitely would have taken it right there. No, it was a little early. Probably wouldn't have taken it, but it's working out perfectly right now. Kind of wish I was. What's going on, Simon? How you doing? If QQQ breaks high and SPY is at 50%, will you short SPY for IB low? No. I want to show you guys two examples here. So last Tuesday, I'll pull it up on SPY and Qs. I don't think SPY is going to go take a new high, but we still have 5 minutes to cover this example, so we'll use it. Last Tuesday, SPY made an IB high, and then it made the IB low barely, just barely made a new IB low right here. So target was the IB low breaking. Qs did not make a new IB low, and then ended up taking it all the way back up to the upside. So this is an example of when it does work out. You have a 4-to-1 risk reward, 1-to-4 risk reward. The one that I don't want to take is the same trade, December 23rd, where we had that same exact thing happen. December 23rd right here. High was formed second, meaning that we were targeting the high. Low formed right at open, then the high, targeting the high. Qs looked like it was going to form the low and then the high first, so they almost lined up, and then Qs ended up forming a new low. And I ended up taking this one because I wasn't watching SPY at the time. It hit 50%. I was in short. Everything was good. And then it just never came back down. And that's because SPY dragged it and continued to drag it all the way up. So right now, and this is even worse than this day because Qs and SPY at least were lined up with what they were doing for price. It just got unfortunately lucky or unlucky that price ended up taking a new low. They were lined up. They just had a little mishap. But right now, I just overlapped them. Qs and SPY are pointing in the exact opposite direction. They're not even remotely close to what each other are doing. SPY and IWM are free falling. And Qs is just hanging up here like everything's rainbows and butterflies. I know you don't trade it, but what are your thoughts on IB by retracement report? Possible plays. This is in cases there's a breakdown of IB after the fact. You could possibly take that trade if it retraces the IB up at a certain level after that report and play it in the direction of the IB break, so a continuation play. It just isn't as likely as high as a stat in my eyes. It could still work. I just don't like the idea of trying to trade more. The IB itself is more than enough. Yesterday we had a beautiful, beautiful trade on it. Even if we don't end up taking a trade today, it's going to be 150 over 2 days is what I would view that as. So we made 335 on that. If we don't end up taking a trade today, it's 150 over those 2 days. For the buy retracement, that's just another trade that we could possibly win on, but at the same time, we could possibly lose. And it's also a pretty low stat or low likelihood that it happens every day. That's why I don't trade it. Not anything bad against it. I'm sure it will work. But I just don't want to add any extra data for no reason. SPY got a perfect bounce off London 50. That's probably going to save this IB stat on Qs. But this is still a little messy. Definitely could have taken it. And it should go and break the high right now. But all that means is that one of these is going to lose, unfortunately. One of the stats. Thanks for your time this morning. Gonna go to my day job. Have a good one. You too. Unlikely probability that NQ continues higher with the YM and ES selling off. NQ just said, screw you. I'm not in anything right now, so I'd not saying anything. Not even looking at taking anything. But right now, it looks like they both might win. If Q's ends up taking a very slightly higher wick in the next 50 seconds, which I bet it probably will. We got 625, which is the price target from earlier in the stream. I bet it will take a little wick, and then it will probably flush as SPY goes and takes the IB low. But if you guys are listening to this, and I'm listening to myself say it too, these are a whole lot of ifs. A whole lot of ifs in what I'm saying. If SPY goes and does this, if Q's goes and takes a high, then SPY should go and take a low. This isn't the two of them lining up with each other. This isn't a confident trade for us to be in, so there's no reason for us to take the trade. Which is painful because I would love to be in a trade. I'd love to be up $50 on the day, but at the same time, I don't want to be down 70. It worked out so far. It's still a really nice show of how the IB works. SPY should go and flush right to that IB low. Q should go and take that IB high. The low was formed first on Q's. The high was formed first on SPY. So SPY is targeting the low for a break. Q's is targeting the high for a break. The only thing that might work out is if SPY goes and takes its low right here, hits London 50 again, then we could maybe take a long. I'm not going to, but you could take a long after the IB is fulfilled on SPY. But it's pretty crazy how these are in perfect divergence of each other right now. Same with IWM too. Like these are printing the complete opposite candles. Aside from the opening one was the same on SPY and Qs, but IWM had a big old red opening candle, big old green opening candle on Qs, small green opening candle on SPY, and then it just grew in divergence from there. It's actually kind of funny to have them overlap this way. Oops, that's not. I don't want Plith. I just want SPY. There we go. It's kind of fine to have them overlap this way because you can see same price action pre-market and then just completely lost it, which I don't know what it could be from. We'll go to the market. We'll pull up the SPY heat map. We should be able to see one big old red tick around here. So it's all of financial that's dragging it down. And then Google, NVIDIA, Microsoft, that's what's pushing Qs up. If I pull up QQQ heat map, I wonder what happened to financial. QQQ heat map versus SPY. Once it pulls up, this is SPY's. Pretty much all financial is what's dragging it down. And then QQQ should be all of big tech. Google, Amazon, NVIDIA, Microsoft. That's what's going to be dragging Qs up. If it can load. There you go. So not really much for red on there. And Q just went and took its IB high. Dang it. Perfect representation of how the IB works, though. Yeah, and that it would have been a little too early on the front run. Missed it by 2 minutes. It might have hit. Let's go to the 1 minute. Let's see what that wick down was. 10:17. So it was actually 10:18 we hit it. So it was 5 minutes too early. for that 50% retracement, but it would have been a good entry if they had lined up, but they did not. Also retested the high. But it is what it is. Would that be playing for a double break IB on SPY? No. IB would have to break. For it to be a double break, it needs to go and take the low and then also go and take the high. Right now, it's right at 50%, so that would be a perfect short entry. And the same note, Qs might drag it up. And if we slap in those extension levels, so half a standard deviation up, 626.43. I still think we're going to get up to like 626, 627. I think I said that earlier. But the IB by levels, and we'll go to a Wednesday for a breakout day. There we go. So we have a 90% chance of going up to half a standard deviation, which is 626.45. On the same note, SPY for the initial bounce by rejection has a 69% chance of taking the low. So this stat's probably going to get a losing trade on it for today. As you can see, Qs is just not giving up. Jeffrey's earnings today might be throwing financials off. I don't really know what it would be. Yeah, I didn't take anything. I took one trade last night. That's why I'm up 20 right now. But nothing on the IB today. We actually haven't even had a red candle on Qs. MNQ. And this isn't really one that I would pick and choose from. It did work out on Qs. On the same note, if we were taking the trade on SPY, we would have just lost. So it is what it is. %90 chance we go up to 626.41. IB still goated. I'll make that post later, as always, and just say that I didn't take it. It worked out perfectly. Got the 50% retracement. Well, it was a little earlier than the front run would have provided, but previous week's high taken an NQ. Yep, 625.50. Just barely. SPY is going to put a losing stat in. This is kind of crazy that they're countering each other as much as they are. Qs is barely having any downside. Like no downside here. We had all these wicks get bought up immediately. So I'm just gonna go and close out. I'm not taking anything on Tradeovate today. Not even gonna trade after the stream. So I'll take my $20. No trade on the IB because these two countered each other. Still have another 23 minutes on the stream, so I'm not ending anytime soon. I will get this post out today, though. Let me. Still really happy with that. Oh, it's going to work out for both of them. That's crazy. Wow. Well, it happened. We had Spy and Q's both win on their IB. That is insane. I do Forex example, yeah. I type everything out in the server. Who is that? Oh. That is bizarre. We just had both the stats win. So Spy's IB by rejection. This is going to go up to probably 65% after today now. And Q's both won. Q's broke the high, Spy broke the low, and that looks like it was just a nasty manipulation to get IB, to have Spy take out its IB low. I can't believe that works on both of them. Was there a tweet or something? I'm looking right now. I don't think so. It was probably just manipulation. I'm in disbelief with that. So Spy is probably going to go and take a double break, which is what you were just asking, Bob. China said to stop buying. Did I not joke about that earlier? I swear I did. I swear I said to Matthew that as soon as I get an NVDA, China's gonna, or not China, NVIDIA's gonna stop selling semiconductors or some BS. I swear I said that earlier, just as a joke. Just a quick manipulation. If you guys are interested on the IB for individuals as well, same exact concept. IB low form first, IB high form second. Pull up it on NVIDIA, IB by rejection. So we have a 66% chance of going to take the high on NVIDIA, which is a $2 break. If you guys were interested in taking it on options, still works. That is bizarre. Get those expansion levels. So we're going to have every data point hit today. It's just on a nasty day. This previous day's high. Exact opposite all morning. I can't believe both of those went and took their respective levels. Perfect retracement to IB 50 on both of them as well. A little bit better on Spy. Oh, a lot better on Spy. And Q's is probably just going to pit her out today. I don't think it's going to get anything in terms of a continuation, especially if it's news based. Let me pull up Tradeovate to get the screenshot today, actually. Oh, this isn't going to count as a winning trading day because I'm not at 50, but I'm not going to try to push my way. This is exactly what I was talking about this morning, like 30 minutes ago. If I'm targeting a P&L in the day, like if I need a $50 trading day for this to qualify as a winning trading day, no reason that I need to continue trading because the play has already played out. The IB's already done. There's no reason for me to get into a trade. There's no reason for me to try and push it to 50 because more likely than not, I'm going to end up losing and I'm going to turn a $20 winning day, which isn't much, but over all these accounts, still $400. I'm going to turn a $20 winning day into probably a negative $300 losing day. And then I'm going to blow the accounts and I'm going to, the entire time that I'm in trades after, I'm probably going to be going, man, what I do to be up $20 right now? I've been in the same position several times, so I'm not going to take anything. I'm just using this for the screenshots. Trade is done. You gotta triple make sure that I have no open orders open. No orders open. Just close it out. I've eaten all of my words this morning. One win, one loss. Longing to IB for me. I didn't take it today because of the divergence on SPY Kowalski. Taking trade on R2I close to 50% retrace and an eval. That's still a little early on the entry, Semperfi. If you don't end up taking it, then you don't end up taking it, is what it is. What a wick. Wouldn't that be something? The whole reason that we had that drop, the whole reason NVDA came out and said they're not selling chips to China is just for the IB trade to get taken. I bet we have, I still think we get 626. I just don't think we have that much of an expansion today. Getting a little under 50%. Hopefully it still plays out. SPY has already taken its IB, so this one's done. Another reason that I stop, I don't know if you're still in your bot. Yeah, you are. Another reason I stop after the IB is done, if we just go to the standard IB report for Qs, standard initial balance breakout, it's only a 17% chance that we have a double break. Same for SPY as well. SPY, I think, might be 18. Oh, never mind, 26% on SPY. So it's a 1 in 4 chance that price will go all the way back up to 693.10. Low outcome there. Could be a retracement back in where you go into IB by retracement and then look for what price does when it's retracing 10, 20, 30%. These ones are all, you can see how much it drops after it goes deeper and deeper into the IB as well. So it's just not a good stat to follow. It's not something that I would do. Any questions for me from anyone? Sorry we didn't have a trade today, but no reason to get in this nonsense. It's a shame. It's a crying shame that this couldn't have lined up, because look at the wick that we got. Just don't look at the wick that broke the IB. Look at the wick we got right to 50%. SPY is probably going to go and take its high. Avoided a win on M&Q, but could have also been a loss, so I'm not too upset about it. NVDA should be breaking its IB high right now as well. That's a perfect representation of the strategy. 50% retracement, targeting up to the IB high on NVIDIA. Good info you gave between QQQ and SPY, well noted. You know, I'll make a poster for this, because I get asked these questions all the time. QQQ is NQ, SPY is ES, IWM is RTY, and GLD is GC. And the reason that I chart on those is because they have slippage on MNQ. So if we go over to, I don't really want to open Trade Evade again, but maybe it will work if I pull up MNQ. So you can see there's a slight on the 15-minute. Do you see the difference on the QQQ chart and MNQ? This is QQQ, which is the same exact thing as MNQ. How many red candles do you see on this chart? 2 of them. Where are the wicks doing on this? Wicks are about formed like a little diamond pattern. These 2 are equal wicks. This one's a little higher. MNQ. Aside from this candle right now, there's no red candles. So these 2 red candles that popped up on Qs, for whatever reason, they're not there on MNQ. And then this wick that we just made, this wick is lower than what it formed in on Qs. So that's the reason that I do all my charting on QQQ. There's slippage on MNQ. That's going to cause a variance in what you're going to trade. So you want to do your charting on the main ticker and then go and trade it on the opposing ticker. Or not the opposing ticker. Trade it on MNQ or NQ, whichever one you're doing. You have to switch between them, Marshall, unfortunately. I still have my Lucid accounts on Project X. So I don't have them. I think I'm going to get the Lucid Flex if I get some new ones. And then Tradeify, I'm going to get Tradeify Flex too. The only way you can copy trade them is with a trade copier. You stud, Steve. I have premium trading view. If you guys want to get it, if you're interested in getting the premium plan on trading view, wait for Easter. Easter, Black Friday, and Christmas is when they do like their 70 and 80% off sales. And then I got either the premium for the year. It was like $16 or $15 a month is what I'm locked in at. And then even if you don't end up getting the sale, if you click on it and then go through and act like you're going to purchase it and then cancel out, they'll give you another 10% off most of the time. Oh, sorry, I missed your question. The IB indicator I have on here it comes with edgeful. So I will show you guys. Actually, edgeful has an indicator for every single one of their data reports. So I think they have like 38, I want to say. And they add 1 or 2 a week. Usually they've been adding 1 a week since I've been subscribed to them. And I think they're up to 38, might be 40. That's how many they have. That's all. If you don't need to use the IB report, whatever report you want to use on here, they have an indicator for it. Sorry, late to the stream. No problem. RDU T2. No trade since IB broke before retracement. No trade because SPY and Qs were countering each other. The IB for both of them worked perfectly, flawlessly. Perfect retracement to 50% and then had the break. Perfect retracement to 50% and then had the break to the downside. The reason I didn't take it was because they were countering. They were diverging. So no reason for us to hop in there. What was the chance of hitting 0.5 today? 90%, Zoo. For us to go up to 0.5 on the IB, 90% for a Wednesday on Qs. That's on SPY, sorry. Oops. I think it was the same for Qs. If not, then that's my mistake. Patience at its finest. Yes, thank you. So much patience, in fact, that I didn't take anything. I'm still being patient for tomorrow's trade. Yeah, 88.9% that we have no chances of going to 1.5 or 2. So we have a 90%, just about 89% chance of going to 0.5 standard deviation, 11% of going to 1, meaning that we're probably done after 626. My guess is that price will probably, I still wanted to see 627 today, 626, 627. We will probably do something like this. And then this will be our noon all the way to 4 o'clock. And that's just, I can draw that a little cleaner. Probably do something like that. We should go and break that half a standard deviation prior to 12. Because after noon, there is absolutely nothing. And then this is what we will probably do all the way to close, right to 4 o'clock. You know what? I'll leave this on here. Timestamp is 10:56, just about 11 o'clock. I would put money on this being what we do all the way until close. Obviously, we can't take a winning trade off of that because that's a bunch of hoopla, but we'll see how accurate that is until close. If there's no volume in the market yet, there's not going to be any volume for the rest of the day. This will be my last little quote for the stream. So 80% of the market movement happens outside of trading hours. That's news that happens over the weekend. There's only, I got to do the math on my phone. Hold on a minute here. 24 times 7. I should know this off the top of my head. There's 168 hours in the week. And if we divide that by 0.2, sorry, 168 divided by 3. So there's only 56 hours for us to trade, 40 hours for us to trade a week. 168 hours in the week, and we actually 7 hours as the market's open. So 35 out of 168 hours the market's open. So 80% of the time, all that movement's going to happen outside of trading hours. Of the 20% that we're able to trade, 80% of that movement happens within the first hour and a half of market and within the last hour of market. So from 11 o'clock all the way to 3 o'clock, you're trading 10% of the moves that happen in the market for the entire year. I'm actually going to make a video on this either this week or next week, but everything is based on an 80-20 stat. Most stuff in the market. 80% of the time you're trending in a direction, price will continue to do so. Only 20% of the time it will pivot. The market's open for 20% of the week. 80% of the week the market's closed. What's the other one? 80% of the movement happens outside of market trading hours. 20% of the movement happens during market trading hours. So a whole bunch of nasty 80%, 20% stats. You think trading hours will change if 24-hour trading on NQ happens? Yeah, I do. Trading hours themselves won't change, but we won't have the 9:30 open anymore, which will kind of stink because the market's just going to have liquidity all night, all morning, all day, every day. And then you'll have a lot more of these manipulated wicks throughout the day. Am I in a position? I am not. I'm not. I'm actually all done for the day. No trade from me today. Up a whopping $20. I did not get a qualifying trading day on Tradeify. I did not get a qualified trading day on Apex, but I also did not blow anything up. So all right, guys, that will do it for the stream today. If you would like to find more of me, that is on YouTube. You can watch any of those videos on YouTube. Or you guys can visit my Twitter. I also have a Discord with Leo. I'm going to leave the screenshot on, or these arrows on here. I think that we're going to have just the nastiest of sideways movement that we could into the rest of the day. And I am not going to take another trade for the rest of the day because all my trades have followed through. They're all done. SPY is probably going to go and take IB high for a 26% chance. Thank you guys for tuning in. I will see you later. Have a great rest of your day.